Hey and welcome, I'm Hammeh and welcome to Lore Tours. In this series I'll be guiding you through the lore and backstories of Overwatch's maps, while pointing out the fun things and easter eggs you may have missed along the way. In this video we'll be covering Overwatch's new arcade map, EcoPoint Antarctica. The new home of 1v1 and 3v3 modes in Overwatch's arcade, EcoPoint Antarctica gives us both a great insight into more of Mei's lore and backstory, as well as the EcoPoint program of Overwatch. Firstly, we'll start with the lore of EcoPoint Antarctica. Although we're not dealing with an omnic crisis in our world right now, in a future not far from our own, the world's experiencing similar challenges, with escalating, unexplained climate phenomena happening more and more frequently. Many people blame these on the advent of new technologies, the rapidly growing omnic population, and drastically increased consumption of resources, but the true cause remained unknown. Overwatch, bellowing in scope and funding after a successful defeat of the first omnic crisis, established a series of eco-watch points as it moved into climatology. These eco-points were set up at remote, critical locations worldwide in order to try and find out the cause of the planet's changing weather and climate. EcoPoint Antarctica was one such watch point, and with Overwatch looking for talented scientists to join the program, a certain Mei Tsao is the one that we're most familiar with. A peerless climatologist, Mei had already created cutting-edge innovations in the field of manipulating the climate and weather that had protected areas in Asia and beyond. She'd also helped develop a cryostasis solution for the space program, if one of her voice lines is anything to go by. Mei was assigned to the program's monitoring station at EcoPoint Antarctica, along with what must have presumably been similarly brilliant scientists and minds. The EcoPoint Antarctica research team was made up of 6 members. Hailing from different places in the world, they all had their own specialisations. Arrhenius from Sweden was a fellow climatologist, Torres from Spain and Opara from Nimbani were both specialists in cryogenics, McCready from America was the team engineer, and Adams from America was also a researcher on the team. Finally there was Mei. Specialising in climatology here, we already know that she had a little cryogenic experience too. The Antarctic base was kitted out fully, if slightly claustrophobically, as these extreme missions tend to be, for both the scientists' research and well-being needs for what was meant to be a multi-year programme and initiative. As the programme got underway, at some point disaster struck. A sudden, catastrophic polar storm battered the installation and cut it off from the outside world, leaving the facility damaged and the scientists stranded. As their supplies dwindled, they entered cryostasis in what was a last-ditch effort to survive until a rescue attempt could be made. For whatever reason, perhaps due to the broken array near the base, that rescue never came. Years later, when the team's cryogenics chamber was finally discovered, Mei, still in hibernation, was the only survivor. Mei's story continues from here. You can always check that out in my Mei hero lore, voice lines and interactions video. I've linked that in the description below. The story of EcoPoint Antarctica is reinforced with loads of lovely details in the map, including some fun Easter eggs. I'm going to go through some of them now, and some of them bring up some interesting questions, as well as some answers. Firstly, if we have a look in the living quarters, we can see a lovely birthday card that Mei's stuck, from her journal presumably. There are a lot of pages from what seem to be her diary stuck around the base, on her own door. Happy birthday to me, A. Oh, Mei's bringing the puns even when she's writing her own things. Why is she giving herself a birthday card, I'd say? It seems as though she's on her own. And if so, has she woken up at some point after everyone went into cryostasis? It would be quite a quirky thing to do if you had people around you to give you birthday cards. Unless you're really unpopular, of course. So we're not 100% sure maybe whether Mei woke herself up for a spell or stayed in cryostasis the whole time. Her bio certainly suggests the latter at the moment, and there's perhaps nothing definitive to prove against that. What do you think? Do let me know in the comments. Moving into the team area, if we have a look at the supply list on the fridge, there's not a huge load of food left, especially if this is for 6 people before the entire team went into cryo. It's not much, and it's not a hugely varied diet. Protein bars with a bit of yuck beside them clearly aren't a popular choice. If we move over to the climatology building, Mei's department building, it's got a big table and map in. We can see the relay that's having problems. I would guess that maybe this is a communications relay, and the presence of an anomaly, which, who knows, might be causing the storm. What could this be? Mei speculated on a note on the table. What's causing the anomaly? Global warming? An unexplained phenomenon? Aliens? A little bit of Mei humour there. We can clearly see in the corner which one of these is Mei's desk. Mei's got a nice drawing on the wall of what seems to be a mixture of between Winston and Sun Wukong, following up one of her interactions that she has. Sun Wukong's from a 16th century Chinese legend, Journey to the West, in which him and a friar go to the West amongst some other people and pilgrims to bring back some scriptures with the adventures that they have along the way. There's also a great drawing of a yeti and some penguins, and a great motivational poster. Hang on in there. As well as this, around the base we can see a few more bits of Mei's evidence. There are table tennis bats, very much like the table tennis style game that's in the crew living quarters, and there's quite a few Chinese tea sets as well as a lot of pots of noodles. In the cryo lab you can sadly see where Mei's team passed away, probably due to the huge holes in the windows of the cryo lab, maybe caused by a storm that you can see from outside. But there's a few signs of levity in there. You can see which one is May's, not only because it's the only open one, but also because of some rather distinctive slippers next to the cryopod. Also on the table next to some of the equipment, there's a little illustration May's done of clearly her taking a nap in cryo. Over in engineering, we can see a diagram on the wall for what looks like May trying to devise Snowball, which is pretty interesting, as well as something that's kind of a self-note or reminder to maybe try to repair the relay station. In the journal, on the table in engineering, we can see what looks like a little map or a replication or a few doodled thoughts of what we've seen on the main table in climatology, a plan to try and get out to the relay station to repair it. Maybe with the polar storm, this is why the EcoPoint team couldn't get out to repair the relay before they went into cryostasis, or why perhaps the team was forgotten about if no communications were going out. As a final nice Easter egg around the base, if you take a look at some of the workstations or the battery power of the stations, it says additional supply depots required. Now obviously this is straight out of StarCraft. It's a reference for when you run out of supply buildings that you have to make for any race that you play. You need supply to be able to build more units. If you hit the cap, then this sound plays. So what do you think of the state of this base? Is this all evidence of May waking up before going back into cryostasis, or could it have all just happened before she and the team went under? What do you think of the map? Have you had a chance to try it on the PTI yet? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Sorry that some of the footage has weapon models in the way. I had to do this in 1v1 modes. Not all of my peacemaking efforts to try and get a clean walk around the map were successful. Thanks very much for tuning in to my EcoPoint Antarctica lore tour and Easter egg hunt. I hope you enjoyed exploring the story of this map. It's an awesome addition and loads of fun to play. Do have a good explore yourself, let me know if I've missed anything, and let me know what you think of May's story as well. For more Overwatch lore, speculation and news, check out some of my recent videos in these playlists. Cheers for tuning in folks. I've been Hammeh. Take it easy.